Well, my top rated book on confidence is called The Super You. I'm sending it to you, physical book, free. Go to the link down there. You got it.
DreAllDay.com.
You are now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline of showing up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get the personal initiative to go get it, energy to go make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. Putting all this together, you get the mindset, the method, the podcast known as Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are doing a little bit of an experiment, trying something a little bit different here today. As you're listening to this podcast, some of you are watching this on video because I'm actually videoing myself as I record today's podcast. The first time I've done it this way. We're going to try this out a little bit to see how it goes. I think it looks good. Visually it's going to look good. It's still going to sound good because we've already done some testing on this, so we know it's going to sound good. So we're going to see how this goes. Those of you who are watching this on YouTube, and those of you who want to watch it on YouTube, you can. The podcast actually will come out before the video comes out. So by the time you see this on video, the podcast has already been out. I'm still prioritizing the podcast audience, and I appreciate y'all. Video audience, I'm not going to introduce the same way I usually do videos. I'm doing it the same way I do a podcast. So y'all are basically you're basically getting a sneak peek. You're like a fly on the wall. Actually not on the wall, because as you can see, I'm outside right now, and it is humid in Miami. We're going to make it through though. So let's get right into it. The Work on Your Game podcast here today. As all of you already know, today's topic is how to accelerate your progress. I mean, most of the time when people reach out to me and they ask me questions, they're asking about how can they get better, how can they start getting better, how can they figure out what they want to do so they can eventually get better at it once they actually get started doing that thing, or how can I do something faster? I want to get better a lot faster. I get players who reach out to me and say, well, Dre, I got basketball tryouts in 2 weeks. You know, how can I get really good really fast? Or how can I work on my handle in the next 3 days so I can be a point guard on the basketball team? Often people are asking me about getting better faster when it comes to sports, but in life people want to get better faster too, because we're all on a clock, right? Every one of us is on a clock. We all have that hourglass. We got a certain amount of sand in the bottom of it, which represents our age, and we got a certain amount in the top of it, but none of us know exactly how much sand is in the top of that hourglass. So we're all on the clock. We all need to have a sense of urgency about our lives, knowing that we're on the clock. So how can you accelerate your progress? Even if you haven't been thinking about it, wouldn't it be good if you could accelerate your progress? If you could and get better faster. Instead of your 5-year plan that you're working on right now, what if you could accomplish it in 3 years? Instead of getting something done by the end of 2018, what if you could do it within the next 30 days? How can you accelerate your progress, still get things done at the same level of quality, and do everything that you want to do, but just get it done faster than you're getting it done? Is that something? If that's something you're interested in, you need to keep listening. If not, then look, skip this episode, listen to the next one. But let's get right into it. And if you listen to this podcast, I know that you want to get better. Many people, especially in sports, as I told you, have reached out asking about doing it faster. Here's some principles that'll help you get better faster. Number one thing you can do, and again, today's topic is how to accelerate your progress, get better faster. Talk to someone who is exceptionally better than you. Someone who's exceptionally better. I mean, they're doing maybe the same thing that you're doing, at least in a certain area, and they're doing it way better than you, at a way higher level than you're doing it right now. Talk to that person. And when you talk to them, this is what you do. Ask questions and shut up. Let me say that one once more. I want to make sure everybody got that. Talk to someone who's exceptionally better. Ask questions, then shut up. Let that person talk. Don't add in your own information. Don't tell them the things that you already know. Don't say, yeah, right, okay, every time they say something as if you already know it, because then they probably want to stop giving you information since you know everything already. Just ask questions and be quiet. The person who is further ahead of you knows some things that you don't know. They're enacting some things that maybe you do know that you're not doing. They're doing some things that you maybe have never heard about and are not doing, obviously, since you never heard about them. This person will help you move further ahead faster if you're able to, first of all, listen to what they're saying. Secondly, take value in it, see the value in it, and third, do something with it. Because just because somebody gives you some information that you haven't heard before doesn't mean you're going to do anything with it. Doesn't mean you're going to get any value out of it aside from the fact that you just listen to it. I mean, I put how many videos here on YouTube? How many episodes here on this podcast? Have you used everything you've heard on this podcast and done something with it? Has it been something you heard that you knew was valuable yet you didn't do anything with it? You didn't enact it. You didn't put it into action for whatever reason. We don't need to hear the stories, but listen, there's so much information out here these days in the world. We can't possibly enact everything that we hear. Are you finding the information that's necessary for you to get to where you want to go, and what are you doing with that information? Because I know you're finding it. So it's not a matter of you can't find the information. It's a matter of, are you doing anything with it when you do actually get to it? Point number 2. Today's topic is how to accelerate your progress. You must 80-20 your efforts. 80-20 is the Pareto's principle. It basically says 80% of your results are coming from 20% of your efforts, or 80% of the outputs in anything in life is coming from 20% of the inputs. 80% of your sales are coming from 20% of your salespeople. 80% of your muscle gains are coming from 20% of the exercises that you're doing when you go to the gym. 80% of the money that you're making is coming from 20% of the products that you sell. So what you need to do is consistently do an 80-20 analysis on your efforts in life, meaning what efforts of mine are producing the majority of my results, and whatever answer you get, eliminate everything else. Now you're working with those 20% that are producing most of the results now sometime period in the future, 3 months, 1 month, 1 day, 80-20 it again. What are the results? What results are being produced? What efforts, inputs are producing the majority of my results? And continue to do that over and over again but you're going to continue doing it, and you'll get to the point where you have optimized your inputs to produce maximum outputs. And you can always 80-20 your efforts. And what it does is require you people to take an honest look at everything you're doing and ask yourself a simple question. Is this worth the effort, and why? Is it worth it, and why? Now, a couple episodes ago, we talked about, is it worth it? How do you know if something's still worth it? How do you decide if you want to keep putting effort into something that may or may not be producing the type of results you want right now? Maybe you don't even want that same result anymore. We talked about that a couple days ago. So now when you're 80-20 in something, you're asking yourself a very simple question. Is this worth the effort? And then you got to answer, why is it worth the effort? Because I could say something is worth it, but why is it worth it? Why is it worth it for me to keep recording this show? Why is it worth it for me to write every day? Why is it worth it for me to keep talking to this person? Why is it worth it for me to show up to the gym and do these exercises? Why is it worth it for me to hang out with these people and keep them as my friends? Why is it worth it? You must be able to articulate why it's worth it, and how is that, whatever you're articulating, how is that leading you towards fulfillment of the type of life that you want to live, the type of person you want to be, the type of things that you want to do? If you can't articulate why it's worth it, then it needs to go. You need to eliminate it. That's how you 80-20 whatever you're doing in life. I'm using 80-20 as a verb, but it's actually a noun. 80-20, 80% of your results coming from 20% of your inputs. Point number 3. Today's topic is how to accelerate your progress. How to get where you're going a little bit faster than you would have been getting there to this point. Number 3, establish regular communication with someone or someones, multiple people, who question you and hold you accountable and challenge you to step it up. Who's that person in your life right now? Who's the person who will question your assumptions, question your efforts, question the decisions that you've made? Who's the person who will hold you accountable because you said you were going to do something, you didn't do it, and they say, wait a minute, you said you were going to do that. No, we're not going to just gloss over that. No, we're not just going to laugh it off. We're not just going to make jokes about it. Why did you not do that? What's the holdup, and what needs to change in order for you to come through and basically live up to your words? Who is the person who holds you accountable? Do you have anybody in your life right now who holds you accountable for the things you said you were going to do? What about someone who challenges you to step it up? Who comes to you and says, you know what, that's great what you're doing right now, but how about you step your game up a little bit? How about you go a little bit further? How about instead of you doing 10 push-ups, you do 20? How about you, instead of selling that product for $500, you sell it for $750, you sell it for $1,000? Who's the person who challenges you to step your game up and says, look, what you're doing is cool and is great, and congratulations on your accomplishments thus far, but how about taking this to a higher level? How about taking this to the next level? How about us going to the next step? How about you stepping it up a little bit? Who's the person who challenges you to step your game up? Do you have anyone who challenges you to step your game up consistently? If you don't have a person who fulfills all of these roles, this is where you find yourself a coach, you join a mastermind group or start a mastermind group, or find yourself an accountability partner. All of them do the same thing. They challenge your assumptions. They challenge and question the things that you're doing. Why are you doing this? Why does this make sense? Have you thought about doing it this way? They hold you accountable for everything that you said you were going to do. You said you wanted to build a business. All right, where's the business at? Why haven't you started building it? Where are your products at? Where are your customers? What are the services you're offering? How much are you charging for? Okay, you haven't started it yet. What's stopping you? What is the next step? When are you going to get it done? When can I reach out to you and say, okay, have you done this thing, this thing, this thing? Who's the person holding you accountable? Who's the person who says, okay, you said you wanted to lose 30 pounds by the summer. It's summer. You haven't lost those 30 pounds. What the hell was the holdup? Who is holding you accountable? How can they hold you accountable? Do you have anyone in your life who you respect enough that they can hold you accountable? They can even enact some penalties for you if you don't do what you said you were going to do. This is where, again, you find a coach, you start or join a mastermind group, or you get yourself an accountability partner. This is not one of your homeboys or your homegirls, not one of your Facebook friends who co-sign weak shit that you do and make you believe that it's actually good when it's not. I'm talking about someone who doesn't need to be your friend. Someone who does not need to be cool with you. Someone who does not need you to feel good about them. Someone who does not need to get a hug or a handshake from you, or even have positive energy from you about what you said or what they said to you, rather. This is someone who can hold you accountable such as, like I said, like a teacher would, like one of your parents would, like a boss at work would. A person who does not need your friendship, does not need you to be happy with them, does not need you to be cool with them. See, a person who needs to be friends with you or wants to have positive, happy relationships with you, or they want to be cool with you, they want to hang out with you outside of work, quote unquote, work situations, this person can't really hold you accountable, because they have a vested interest in keeping a positive relationship. They have a vested interest in making you feel good about being around them. You need a person who doesn't need that. A person who does not care how you feel, doesn't care if you're pissed off, doesn't care if you get upset, doesn't care if they say something that offends you. That's the person specifically that you need. You need that person more than you need your friends, actually, on the topic of progress, getting better, working on your game, and getting to where you want to go. You need that person who doesn't give a damn about your feelings more than you need the people who are trying to be your friend, more than the people who are trying to be cool with you. Who is that person in your life? Do you have that person? And if not, what's the holdup? What are you waiting for? Why have you not gotten this person into your life yet? Again, this is where you get a coach. This is where you find a mastermind group. And this is where you get yourself an accountability partner. Not the people who co-sign your shit. Not the people who co-sign your garbage. Not the people who like anything that you say or comment on everything you do and telling you how great it is. Listen, those people have their value in certain spaces. But when we're talking about accelerating your progress, you getting to where you want to go in maybe half the time, 10% of the time, 80% of the time than it normally would have taken you, those people aren't the ones who are going to make the difference. Yeah, they can be along, they can come along, they can follow, they can like, they can co-sign, they can buy your stuff. Listen, they're not the people who are going to actually help you make that difference. Do you have those people? And if not, where are you going to find them? When are you going to find them? And what are you waiting for? This is how you get held accountable. If you don't have anyone asking you those questions, you need to get that person in your life ASAP. If you plan on doing what today's topic is, as we recap, accelerating your progress. Number one, talk to someone who is doing exceptionally better than you. And when you do, ask questions of that person. Since they're doing better than you, you ask questions, let them provide the answers, and you shut up. Just listen. Number two, 80-20 your efforts, meaning look and find out. You can do this through measurement. You can do it through just looking at your results on your own and the efforts compared to your efforts alone. What small percentage of my inputs are producing the majority of my outputs? There is an answer to this. This is a rule. It's a law. There is an answer to this for every one of us, no matter what we're doing. Even if you're doing something that's not completely measurable, all you need to do is test, and you can find out what these things are, and you need to be applying this 80-20 principle to your efforts, to your work, to whatever you're trying to progress in as often as you possibly can. And number three, establish regular communication with a person, such as a coach, mastermind group, or accountability partner who will question your assumptions, question your actions, hold you accountable for the things you say you are going to do, and they will challenge you to step your game up. Nobody's challenging you to step your game up. I'm going to tell you something, just by human nature, you will not step your game up, at least not as much as you could if you had somebody outside of yourself who does not care about your pain levels or your tolerance or you being annoyed or you not feeling like it, challenging you to step your game up. You want to accelerate your progress, now you know how to do it. Work on your game. DreAllDay.com.